Okay, everyone, I have a bad habit of doing this and I'm continuing to work on this, so I'll preface this with that. First, the first thing we should always do, when I gave you this file, notice it's called 25601 Lecture 2 XXRVT. What I always want you to do, even if I don't say it sometime when we start a new lecture file, is to do a save as, and it saves the current Revit project file. And where it has an XX, what I want you to do is to put your initials in there. You can use 2 or 3. That saves the file, so when you upload it to Blackboard and it's out there, I know I'm getting your file based on your initials, okay? And you can use 3 letters or you can just use 2. I'll use 3 sometimes because there's been a lot of other people that have come in with the initials JH. I think most of you are pretty unique, but it wouldn't hurt to use your middle initial as well, okay? So that'd be the first thing to do when you get back in your file after we finish this particular portion of the video, okay? So let's do something. Let's start with roofs because it seems to be something that most of you have a little less experience with, especially on the editing side. So let's look at something. I'm going to go back to level 1 and I'm going to say that I want to put another roof on here. Now, before I do that, in my 3D view, if I click on that roof, notice that it is a basic roof that is generic and 12 inches thick. And when it says generic in Revit, generic means that you have not added any layers to the assembly. When you think about a roof in real life, and you talked about this in building technology, you have the physical structure that goes to the roof, the rafter or the truss. Then you have a cover board or some plywood, tongue and groove plywood that gives the surface. Then you would lay down some paper, some asphalt paper for waterproofing, and then you put the shingles on that. And we can do all that in Revit. However, right now we're just going to work in generics, okay? We'll work on assemblies later. First things first, when we put this new roof on, I'm going to put a roof on this area that I'd like to call at this point the garage. It doesn't look like it, but you'll see how it turns into that in a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my level 1 and I'm going to go to my architecture tab and I'm going to say that I want to put a roof by footprint. That roof by footprint is just going to allow me to draw around this portion of the house or these walls that I'm on right now, and I'm going to set a pitch similar to the other roof. Well, how do I know what the pitch to this other roof is, and what do I mean by pitch? Well, for some of you who have been in architecture a while, that slope has something to do with rise over run. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Now, if I look in here, what I can tell under the dimensions tab is that the slope of this existing roof is a 612. So for every 12 inches horizontally I go, I'm going up 6 inches is what that means, okay? So I'm going to go back to level 1 and I'm going to say I want to draw a roof by footprint, and it's asking me, you're on the lowest level, Joel. Would you like to move this to level 2? Yes, absolutely. Now I'm using the same overhang here, which is 1'6", but notice this box right now that says define slope is not checked. In order for me to match the slope of that roof, I'm going to click on that and I'm going to try to match that slope. Now, in order for that to happen, do you see how I'm not getting the option now to offset and get that 1'6" distance? I want to show you why that happened. I'm going to start over again. I'm going to discard this roof and I'm going to say, let's build this roof by footprint. Now, if I simply, without checking that define slope box, if I just come here, notice if I hover, you see that dashed line right there? That dashed line is where my roof overhang is going to be. So I'm going to simply click here once, twice, 3, and a 4th time. Then I'm going to go to my modify tab. I'm going to click here, right? And I am going to say that I want to trim or extend to corner my roof. What do I mean? Well, I'm going to click here and I'm going to trim those so that they're even and trim this. Now, keep in mind This roof has no slope to it right now. So if I was to say finish this roof and I went to my 3D view, notice I'd have a flat box sitting on top of my roof, but that's not what I want, right? So how do we fix that? Well, we go to level 2 now, and we click on our roof, and I say edit footprint. And when I go in here to edit the footprint, I click on the sides that I want to slope upwards, which are this line, and I'll hold down the control key, and see I get that plus. If I hit shift, I get minus. Control gives me the plus. And I come over to my properties browser and I say define the roof slope, but you see its default is always a 912. I need to change that to a 612. All right. And now I hit finish, and now if I look at my 3D view, notice I've got these two, what? These two roofs. But what's odd is the back of this roof is kind of wide open, and I really don't want it to be that way. So how do I fix that? Well, first I'm going to do this. I'm going to hover over this wall and hit the tab key and click, and I'm going to say attach the top base of these walls to here, and I'll hit OK. Now they're attached. But a little known command that some of you probably aren't aware of is how to join these two roofs so they look normal. The end of this roof should die into this roof if you look at that view, right? That should go all the way over and cover that. How do we make that happen? Well, the way we make that happen is we go to the Modify tab, and over here, and it's not easy to even find or see, you see a command called Join Unjoin Roof. So if I click on that, it's asking me select an edge at the end of the roof you wish to join or unjoin. That would be this edge right here. And you see how it highlights in blue? I click that. Now it's saying select the face on another roof or wall which you want the first roof to be joined. Well, if I hold down shift middle mouse and I hover over the face right here, notice how it joins it to that roof. And now that's looking pretty even. It's dying into that roof the way I would want it to. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and stop this video and let you get caught up to me at this point.